5 essential comeback albums. It feels like every time I make an essentials video, I'm always saying, damn, it's been a long time since I did an essentials video, and I'm pretty sure I start every essentials video in the same way because I don't go back to the series as often as I probably should, but it has been a little bit of a while, as I've just said. But I do like making these videos. I like giving you guys 5 albums within a genre that I think are essential and give you guys a taste of what picks I would choose for that said genre. However, sometimes I like to shake it up and I like to go outside of the genre, the stereotypical style of music, and go off the beaten path and give you guys something different. So today we're looking at 5 comeback albums where an artist has been gone for a while. They've not really, been active in the music world, but they, bam, back 20 years later, 15 years later, 10 years later, they're back with an album, and it's a bloody banger, and it feels like they never left, and it feels like the quality never dipped. So that's what today's video is. I'm going to give you 5. Let me know in the comments what your 5 would be. If there are some that I miss out, please do let me know, because obviously, I could be missing out some really big ones. And just because it's not here doesn't mean I don't like it. I just want to go for my own 5 here as well. Let me know your thoughts on these picks. Let me know your picks. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, let's go. Seemed pretty obvious to start here, given that it was the inspiration for the entire video. But come on, man. This Clipse album that we got 16 years later, which, okay, sure, Malice and Push have been active in their own individual ways, of course. But it is still like a very huge comeback album. And for them to have come back in this way, and honestly, to have made such big moves as well. Like, this wasn't just such like an indie release that only like the hardcore fans were checking out or anything like that. Like, this has been a big talking point. It's had some good first week numbers as well. Like, you kind of got to hand it to Clipse for being able to manage to like dominate the hip hop conversations when they're like 48 and 52 respectively. That's insane. That's insane. But all of the numbers talk aside, that's impressive in its own right. The actual important thing is the quality of the music. And come on, man, I've already reviewed this album. I've already put it in my best albums of the year video so far. Yeah, like, it's so good. The features are fantastic. Pharrell's production is really strong. Pharrell's vocals aren't always too strong on some of these tracks, I will say that, but for the most part he's killing it. He's at the top of his game, really, considering that Chad isn't part of the picture anymore, and he was such a huge part of what Clipse sounded like back in the day when it was Chad and Pharrell making the beats, of course. So Pharrell going solo was probably pretty tough on him, really. I think a lot of expectations were weighing heavily, but yeah, so be it. Chains and Whips with Kendrick on there, insane. Like, this has no right being one of the best rap albums of the year when you think about their ages, how far into their career they are, when there are so many young rappers in the game that should be dominating. That's the other thing with comeback albums. Like, it's the fact that they can come through and just basically blow everybody out of the water, and everybody else around them should be like making their peak music, but the comeback is like blowing everyone out of the water when they should be making their worst music. That's always one of the most impressive things for me. Yeah, I'm rambling now. Clipse, gotta be here. And keeping it hip-hop for my next pick, Tribe Called Quest. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. Man, this for me is perhaps controversially my favorite Tribe album. I've talked about it in a video before where I did a worst to best for Tribe Called Quest. That was a long time ago, but it is still on the channel. And I explained then that, yes, in their peak days, they were legendary. They made great albums, but there was just something so special for me about this album. It's just immaculate from start to finish. It has incredibly poignant lyrical ideas and concepts within the tracks. Lost Somebody is a beautiful track. You've also got Space Program, which is a really clever song as well. We the People, very politically charged. Like, it's got so many different angles that it comes from, and the whole track list is really concise, really consistent, and just coming through with some of the best beats they've ever come through with for me. Like, incredible beats. You've got the rapping throughout, which I think is great. And then another thing which I really like about this album is the features, which I've already mentioned for the Clipse thing as well. Like, there is something special about a rap group coming into a different era and managing to, like, sort of, I guess, like, accommodate or have these newer faces in the game that have completely different styles to what your style once was, and managing to make them work in the track list. I think there's something so special about that. I think that's something so underrated about that as well. Like, there's no reason why Anderson .Paak should work on a Tribe Called Quest album when you listen to the Tribe albums from the 90s and you think, how does Anderson .Paak fit in there? But they managed to modernize their sound. They managed to make a brilliant album from that as well. And yeah, just a really special hip hop album for me. One of my favorite hip hop albums ever made. One of the best of the 2010s. If To Pimp a Butterfly didn't exist, I would say the best rap album of the 2010s was this, in fact. Yeah, that's high praise from me, but special stuff considering they had been out of the game for quite some time as a group. I want to switch things up now and talk about Gospel, who are this fantastic, like, post-hardcore metalcore band that had been gone away for about 17 years, I think. And yeah, I'm kind of just going to speak in cliches here and say very typical things that I've been kind of saying about the other groups already. But yeah, it basically doesn't sound like they ever went away. Like, the music is still like full throttle. It's still high energy. It's still like pushing weird boundaries in places. Like, it's experimental, but also just has that kind of really like in your face hardcore sound, which I think a lot of fans of this genre would love. I think it might be almost about on par with their first album too, which is high praise considering how good that one is. Yeah, I think The Loser was a bit of an underrated album from the year 2022. I put it on my year-end list, but I didn't see it on many other people's year-end lists. But I don't know if it was just the fact that they didn't get as much exposure as maybe Tribe or, Clipse did, or maybe some of the bigger names would, because they were never that big of a name to begin with. But bloody hell, they are as fantastic as they ever were on that album. It's great. I do mention Kate Bush a lot on this channel, but for good reason, because Kate Bush is kind of the blueprint for many that came after her, and she is just a wacky, creative creature that put out some of the most just spellbinding and alluring and unique music ever made from any era of music, and has stood the test of time amazingly over the years. But she has been known to take some big breaks between albums, most notably the Red Shoes, which was in the early 90s, and then way into the mid 2000s she came back after a very long time out and gave us Ariel, which I think is just one of her best albums, honestly. Like, I'm surprised that I feel that way about it, because I think, like with Tribe, it's mad to insert yourself into a discography that's already so like amazing and manage to be at the top of your game so late on. And yeah, Ariel is very different. It's more stripped back. It's more elegant. It's more about like the vibe and the sound of the production that is really like serene and tranquil, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Like, it takes the direction of her sound in a completely new way, and it might be even more impressive, honestly, to be able to change your sound up completely and still put out something great years later than it is to kind of just hit the same beats that you were before. Both are still impressive if you do both well, obviously, but I think it might be slightly more impressive, just ever so slightly more, to do this and to do it as well as this, because she got a lot of success from this. King of the Mountain did chart in the UK as well, pretty high. So people were still craving Kate Bush even well after the peak days of Kate Bush. But yeah, it's brilliant, this album, and had to be mentioned here. I know she also did leave a big gap with this one, and then she came back in like 2011 or something, but that gap wasn't as big, and I don't think 50 Words for Snow is as good as Ariel, so this one made way more sense to me to include. And my fifth and final pick, this is in no particular order, by the way, in case you hadn't already figured that out, but The Cure, Songs for a Lost World, is my last one here that I've got to say. It's the most recent album on this list. It came out last year. But yeah, again, another long gap between albums for The Cure, and another example of how you can still, years later, sound almost identical to how you once did, and barely even age, and barely even feel like you've gone anywhere. This is just crazy how good this album is. Again, it's almost like a bit of a cliche to say, but it shouldn't really be this good. It shouldn't have been one of the best albums of last year when there are so many new, fresh, exciting bands out there that should be hungry and putting out their best work in their 20s, but this is the brilliance of how these bands can come back and put out amazing music. The Cure just really tapped into some really depressive themes, as they always do, with these really elongated intros and outros for their songs. Some of these tracks extend out to really huge lengths, and I was surprised that I wasn't losing patience. Come on, man, give me something good now. I need to move on. These tracks test your patience, and yet they feel like they're exactly the length they're supposed to be. It's very impressive. Again, if you're a big fan of Disintegration, it would surprise me if you came out of this one thinking it was terrible. That would be kind of wild to me. But yeah, The Cure sounding as good as ever. Robert's voice doesn't even sound like it aged. Crazy. And then when you watch him live too, again, he sounds exactly the same as he did in the 80s. Don't know what the hell he's been doing, but hey, he's done something right. It's crazy. And that is it from me. These are my 5 comeback albums that I have to cherish and have to highlight as being some of the best comeback albums of all time. Of course, there are going to be many that you guys are going to be screaming at me in the comments that I haven't included. Again, like I said at the start, if you want to include them, let me know in the comments. And don't forget as well, it might not be that I hate the album or something like that. It might just be that I wanted to include these 5 more. So please remember that. Thank you as always. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It's been a long time since an Essentials, so hopefully you've stuck around to the end, enjoyed it, and yeah, being very generous today. You can check out my Patreon where you get your own requests for these videos in the future. Yeah, you get your own picks for what I do next. So if you support me over on there and the membership page as well, you get your own say. So thank you as always for supporting the channel. Subscribe, like it, and all that good stuff. Have a good day. Goodbye.